The Toyota drivers sabotaged themselves in the closing laps of the race, allowing Chase Elliott to get his first multi-win season in quite some time. A driver, Zane Smith, flips in this race. Let's talk about NASCAR's playoff race at Kansas. Hello everybody, welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host Alex Lambert, and let's talk about NASCAR playoff action in the Heartland. Kansas Speedway, NASCAR playoffs round 2. It was crazy today. Denny Hamlin dominated, but cost himself and maybe a couple other Toyota drivers the win today. Chase Elliott gets his first multi-win season since 2022. Zane Smith, in a big crash, flips on his roof or kind of barrel rolls in this race. We'll talk about the playoffs. Joey Logano, also centered with rough days. Let's break down NASCAR at Kansas in the playoffs. It was exciting, a great race today. Let's go ahead and get into it. Look, we'll talk about Chase Elliott getting the win. That's a big deal for him. His first multi-win season in a while. A big step up for him. We'll go through that top 10. We'll talk about the wrecks for sure. But just a quick overview of the race. What a phenomenal race. We talk about all year long, right? We talked about college football is big right now. MLB playoffs is coming up. The on-field product for those sports is just so exciting. And I feel like with NASCAR, the on-track product has been good here and there, but we do have some concerns over the last few weeks, right? These flat ovals, the short tracks haven't been as entertaining. And today was just like a pinnacle for NASCAR Cup racing, right? We had drivers with bad-handedly race cars at the front. The drivers were able to communicate to the teams how to fix it. We had drivers slicing and dicing, different lanes, all sorts of different moves you could make to try to win this race at the end. Gaining, we had comers and goers. This was what NASCAR Cup racing is about to me. This is what I love to see in a NASCAR Cup race, and it had all of it. It had the crazy, you didn't even need the crazy finish, in my opinion, to make this race good. Just from that alone, right? We had the crazy finish to kind of, make it stand out a little more, but wow, what a race all day long. Love this type of NASCAR. That's why Kansas is so good. These mile and a halves are so good even in this car, and I'm so excited to see more of this moving forward. Chicagoland's going to be great next year. Let's talk about the finish itself. Let's take a look at the finish. This is coming to the white flag. Bubba Wallace in the 23, Christopher Bell in the 20 car. Bubba Wallace runs the 20 up a little bit. 20 ends up hitting the wall, right? We've seen this move at a few other racetracks before. Bubba Wallace just very aggressive. But can you really blame Bubba Wallace for doing this, right? The 20 can lift. The 20 does not have to go up and hit the wall from everything we can see. And then when we get to the next corner, right, this allows Denny Hamlin, who's been the fastest race car all day long, as he even mentioned in his interviews, this allows him to get a chance with power steering issues to dive it in there past his teammate Bubba Wallace. He shoves Bubba Wallace really hard. Wallace goes up and hits the wall, and this opens the door for the 9, the only Chevrolet in the top 5, to get in there. Obviously, he's not going to lift. He's on the bottom, right? Why would he lift? Door slams Denny Hamlin a little bit and goes on to get his second win of the season, punching his ticket into the next round of the NASCAR playoffs. Phenomenal finish, phenomenal win for Chase Elliott, right? Loved everything about this finish because it's just so much different components were going on. Chase Elliott, huge win for him, right? Did everything right. The door opened up for him. Why would he lift, right? Chase Elliott gets his first multi-win season. I've said that a bunch. First multi-win season since 2022. And that's big because you look at 2023 winless, 2024, the one win at Texas. So far this year, the only win at Atlanta. To have multiple wins on a year, this the first one in the playoffs in quite some time, is certainly very exciting for Chase Elliott fans at this point in the season. We've been looking for Chase Elliott. I've been saying it for years. Can he get over the hump? Can he get back to that top driver, that championship caliber team, that winning team week in and week out? Well, today's a great step in the right direction. We still have 5 weeks to go, but big win for the 19 Chase Elliott. And I love when Chase Elliott wins just because he's such a star. Like, you want your stars of the sport winning. Well, if we take a look at the top, right, it's Hamlin, Wallace, Elliott. All those are known names, very popular names in the NASCAR Cup Series, so that's certainly exciting. Let's go through that top 10 right now. Once again, I mentioned Toyota kind of sabotaged themselves. Well, you can see all of them here in the top 5 besides the winner. Chase Elliott, obviously, with the win. Denny Hamlin finishing second place. Denny very upset in his post-race interview. We can kind of break down each driver, kind of what happened to them while going through the top 10. But Denny Hamlin very upset in his post-race interview. And once again, I talk about how this is the pinnacle of sport, of pinnacle of NASCAR. I love to see that emotion. I know Denny's upset. He's not going to be very happy that this happened. But as a fan, I love to see that emotion from these drivers. They raced hard. Denny Hamlin had the fastest car of the race, no doubt. Led 159 of the scheduled 267 laps. that was an incredible performance by Denny. For him to get up from, what was it, 8th on the final, 6th on the final restart, all the way up to 2nd to go for the win is incredible. He had a super fast car. He had to go for the race win, but just couldn't quite pull it off with power steering issues. Absolutely amazing race today by Denny Hamlin, regardless of what the result is. Able to lead all those laps, and with the power steering issues, hold it off, lose all that position on pit road, and then come out all the way back up and finish 2nd, go for the race win. Exciting right now for Denny Hamlin fans, even with the unfortunate loss today. I love that emotion out of a driver. That's a driver that wants to win in NASCAR. Christopher Bell, 3rd place finish for him. Once again, was trying to kind of chase Denny all day, trying to be that fastest car. There were times where he could get to Denny, but could never quite pass him. Well, he couldn't quite do it on this final restart. Wallace, once again, kind of moved him up out of the way. But overall, a solid 3rd place finish. I think Christopher Bell, kind of talked about in his post-race interview, that was kind of what we could do. And he wasn't too upset over a 3rd place today at Kansas. Chase Briscoe kind of, mentioning there wasn't anything that he feels like he could go back and redo differently either. So Chase Briscoe, nice top 5 finish today for the other Toyota, Chase Briscoe. There was never really a moment where I looked at Briscoe like, oh, he's going to get the win. But a nice 4th place finish, none doubt, for Chase Briscoe. Phenomenal playoffs for him. Continue to roll on now at the midway point. Bubba Wallace, right? Huge step up for Bubba. What makes today for Bubba Wallace more impressive is like at the beginning of the race, the car was not great in his eyes, right? They were outside the top 10, around 13th or 14th. They looked to have a lot of issues with the handling of the race car. He was able to communicate that with the crew chief. Shout out to this new crew chief. There's been a huge step up with this 23 team since the new crew chief has stepped in. A huge boost of momentum, a huge step up from last year for Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace seems more like a leader now when it comes to being able to communicate information to teams. And he's obviously a winner this year, and the crew chief knows how to take the feedback and turn it into more speed. Dangerous right now, Bubba Wallace. This is the most dangerous they've ever been. Do I think they're championship winning? Not quite. But the most dangerous that this 23 team has ever been is certainly right now for Bubba Wallace and his crew chief. Kyle Larson, 6th place finish, right? We're still looking for Kyle Larson to get back to winning speed. At the beginning, right, this is a racetrack Larson's been good at. This is where he got his last win to date earlier this year. Kyle Larson looked to be like the only guy at the very beginning, like stage 1, that could get to Denny Hamlin, try to challenge him for those stage win. Wasn't able to quite get it. Denny Hamlin was certainly faster, but Larson ultimately slid back, finishing 6th. It's probably a bit of a disappointment for the 5 team after I think the expectations were really high for Larson going into this race. This is a track they've done phenomenal at in the old car, in the new car, won multiple times here in the next gen era. So certainly I would say it's a disappointing finish for Kyle Larson and that team, not being able to go for the win today. Realistically, Tyler Reddick ends up finishing the 7th position. There was some controversy about him not pushing Bubba Wallace the right way, right? All this teammate drama, that's what the playoffs creates. Whether you like the playoffs or not, that's what it creates. Tyler Reddick, a 7th place finish today. Nice top 10 for the driver of the 45 team. It's not going to be enough to advance him in the next round. They're still going to be a must-win. Same thing for Wallace, really, but we'll get to the points in just a moment. Brad Keselowski, 8th place finish. He's run well with these mile and a halfs all year. William Byron, able to come back up. Once again, this is another one of those guys, right? The car was not good at all to start the race. William Byron was struggling, running outside the top 20. Last car on the lead lap for a long time in this race. A majority of this race was able to make adjustments to the race car, was able to communicate feedback, which is like Gen 6 NASCAR, and go up there, fix the race car, capitalize on the late couple of restarts, and finish 9th today. What a great race. SVG, got to give him a shout out. Top 10 on the oval today. These mile and a halves has certainly been his strong suit when you talk about ovals. I want to see how good he can get. Like, can he get better? Is this the best he can do? Is 10th at Kansas, or can he get a little better? Can he get a top 5? I don't know. I think I would love to see how good SVG can get on these mile and a halves, especially, but just the ovals overall in general. But he's not in the playoffs now. He's sort of no longer the top headlines as it stands right now. He'll probably be the favorite to win in a week, though, at the Roval next week. Let's take a look at the crashes, right? Big flip right at the end of this race. This is the second to last restart. You see Zane Smith. What the heck is this? This is the weirdest looking wreck that I think I've ever seen. And there was a weird one in the Xfinity a few years ago at Daytona where it was a flip. This one it almost looks like a toy car. Rides around the safety wall, the retaining outside wall, and then comes back and then does like a little barrel roll, a few flips. Zane Smith was okay. Once again, these flips typically look a lot worse than they really are. I'm not saying they're not bad, but like a straight-on hit, certainly a more scarier wreck. when you talk about like forces and all that. But yeah, so scary wreck here. Zane Smith, okay, crazy looking crash from Zane Smith. I don't think I've ever seen a finish like that. Have to bring that up because it's just so odd. Have to talk about the Zane Smith crash, a crash that did involve some playoff guys. Joey Logano, Austin Cindric right before this got involved in an accident on a restart. Certainly hindered their playoff hopes today, especially for Austin Cindric. Certainly disappointing for them. So let's pull it up, right? Let's pull up the NASCAR playoff grid. Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, guaranteed in the next round. Now it says here, following race 2 of round 2. So the next week, the Charlotte Road Course is the final race to be in the top 8. If you are not in the top 8 in points or have a win, you will not advance into round 3. So once again, one more race to go before you are eliminated. Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, no matter what, are guaranteed into that next round, which is going to be the round. That is the round to start trying to get into a championship race. So certainly exciting to see Blaney and Elliott, 2 top contender, 2 champions already going for that. Kyle Larson, 54 points above. I mean, I don't see a scenario where he would be taken out, right? I mean, 54 points above. It's like just a few points from being mathematically guaranteed in. So Kyle Larson, see no issue with that. Denny Hamlin, see no issue with him going forward unless something crazy happens. Same thing with Bell, same thing with Byron. So everybody on that left side of the grid you see 1st through 6, I mean, it could happen. We could see something crazy happen to take one of those guys out, but I don't see that as very realistic. It's when you get to the other side of the grid, 7th through 12th, where it's very likely they could be taken out. Briscoe, 21 points above. That's certainly a solid cushion. I'm not too concerned with Briscoe. I've seen him run well enough at the road courses this year. Actually very well at some of these road courses earlier this year. So I'm not concerned. The concern is if something goes catastrophic, right? I don't think they're going to be slow on speed, but if you get involved in a crash, you have a flat tire late in the race, you get involved in a wreck early in the race and can't come back out, right? That's the concern for the 19 team at Chase. Briscoe need to capitalize this week, get to the end, and I think they should make it in. Joey Logano, 13 points above. That's a little closer. Ross Chastain, 13 out. So once again, with the stages, with the result points, with a track like the Roval, you could see that swing. Bubba Wallace, minus 26. Reddick, minus 29. I don't know. Those 2311 Toyotas are just pretty far out, right? I mean, you could capitalize points, but, we don't know yet, right? We have not seen qualifying. We have not seen testing or practice laps at the Roval. When you get all that information in on Saturday next week before going into Sunday, you should have an idea of what you're going for. Right now, just looking at the points, I say you have to go for a win. I think these teams are looking at going for a race win. It looks like it's going to be a borderline impossible to point your way in if you're the 2311 Toyotas, but we'll see what happens. A lot can happen at a racetrack like the Roval. Austin Cindric, 48 points out. Yeah, definitely, no matter what we see in qualifying or lap testing or practice or whatever next week, no, Austin Cindric's going for the race win. That's what they're looking at. That team is looking at to advance into round 3 is going for the race win. Cindric's had some good, decent history on road courses, but I'm very unconfident right now as a fan looking in Austin Cindric's ability to make it in, right? That was the result of a crash today and a bad week a week ago, right? So, yeah, I don't see a scenario where Cindric makes it in. I just don't see him winning at the road course. Possible, but I see it very unlikely right now. So certainly that's it. Really all there is to discuss following NASCAR's playoff race at Kansas. Let me know what you think. Like, is this good racing to you? Is this what you like seeing, this type of racing? I know it's exciting, but I thought today's race was overall just good racing. Let me know in the comments. I really want to hear what fans think about this type of race. I love Kansas. I love these 1.5 miles right now, even in these next-gen cars. But that's it. Really all there is to talk about. And, of course, hey, about Kyle Busch getting a top 20 today after, a scary week last week. Let's get rowdy.